welcome first of all, everyone, and just first let me know if you can hear me better. I mean, everything is okay, my visual and audio. Just maybe give a thumbs up or anyone if can confirm. Okay, great. So yeah, welcome to our development series. This is first introduction session. Today we'll just this will be more of an overview on how we can do development on Power Platform and Dynamics 365 customer engagement platform. So Adnan is also joined us. Yeah, and so there also. Okay, great. So I'll just start with yeah, so let's roll the curtains and start. Okay, so today is the part one of the development series. So, okay, basic housekeeping stuff that we have discussed in all of our sessions that, yeah, everyone should be muted except presenters. If you have any questions, you can use the QA section or you can unmute yourself and speak up. That's not a problem. All of the recordings will be posted on YouTube channel as soon as possible. And yeah, so we'll just go on. Okay, this is just an info on the QA section. Okay, so this is our content sharing platform. You can scan this any of the QR codes to go to our YouTube channel, OneDrive folder. You can search the YouTube channel D4 Dynamics and you will find all the previous videos there. And today's session will also be uploaded by tomorrow, most probably. Okay, before I start, I just wanted to launch a very quick poll just to understand the audience, So I will launch a very quick poll. Just quickly, if you can answer, just a minute. I launched it. It shouldn't take time. Okay, great. Okay, so seems like no one is here who do not have any development experience. You have some development experience, which is good. Okay, great. So I'll just move on then. Fine. Okay, so first of all, this is the agenda of today's session. So what we'll do is we'll just talk about development scenarios, levels of development on this particular platform. Then what are the skills that you need to do any kind of development or enhancements or customizations on Dynamics 365 and Power Apps platform. Then what are the development tools and SDKs that we are going to use? Then PowerApps Modular apps architecture, because there are two kinds of apps we'll discuss. So we'll be talking about modular apps in this particular series. Okay, then advanced settings and customizations overview, because this is one of the basics that any developer should know who wants to work on this platform. Okay, so I'll just move on. Okay. So before we begin, as we in all of our session, we first set some terminologies because we'll be using these terms a lot. So what is Power Apps? Because I'm saying, okay, first of all, I'm not sure how many you have already experienced on Power Apps or Dynamics 365 so on, but I will just review, or you would say briefly describe each of this. If you have already know this, well and good, but if you have more questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so Power Apps is a Microsoft's no code, or you could say low code application development platform. So it's a platform where businesses or users or developers or power users can log on. It's a cloud based platform where you can design low code or no code applications there. When I say no code, that means you do not need to write any single line of code. You can just drag and drop like you design your power point presentation, right? And your application will be just ready, right? And it can connect to multiple data sources. It could be, it can have Excel behind the scene. It can connect to a particular database like SQL Server, Postgres, Oracle, so on. It can connect to cloud-based systems like Dynamics 365, Salesforce, and you name it. There are a lot of connectors there. So it's a no-code platform. I say slash low code because you can also write code wherever it is needed, because there are scenarios you might need code. One example is, let's say I said you have a connector for Salesforce, but if you want a custom connector for your on system, and I assume this is a legacy system, you don't have any web API or something, so what you can do is you can write your own connectors custom code. That's one example. And in any case, if you want to plug in any kind of custom code, you can do that. So Microsoft has given that privilege, but most of the development can be done without code. So that's the beauty here. So yeah, that's the Power Apps. Okay, so Power Apps has three kinds of applications. One is the Canvas app, second modular app, third are the portals for portal applications. I have kept that out of scope from this series because that is totally different thing. Even the Canvas app is different, but just to these two are the most common apps you will see on the Power Apps platform. So the Canvas app is you know is is based on forms and layouts. So what you can do is you can define, sorry, you can create standalone applications without writing a code, which can have multiple pages, and you can connect it to any data source. On the other hand, modular apps is a model driven design that can have more processes around it. So you're, if I say, like, see, if you want a very simple app which your users can use to log, let's say, their attendance on the mobile or from the web, you can simply create a Canvas app. That's not a problem. But if you want a full modular experience where there is a process that starts from a stage one and goes to the stage n, let's say you start from as we saw in the sales series, that if you are creating a lead, it has a identify stage, then it has a development stage, then it goes to the closure stage. So that kind of processes are best done in the modular app. Of course, there are ways you can do things on Canvas app, but modular apps are more extendable. They have built-in dashboards, forms, views, and charts which are not available in the Canvas app. Okay, so another term that you will hear a lot is Dataverse. So Dataverse is Microsoft's data store where you can store your data in a common model. Previously, it was known as Common Data Service or Common Data Model. Now it is named renamed as Dataverse, Microsoft Dataverse. So Dynamics 365 and Power Apps modular apps are built on top of Dataverse. So your data on the Dynamics 365 cloud version is stored in the Dataverse. So it's behind the scene. This is just a database which has table, which has fields. Then you can create forms and views on top of it, and it has its own total, APIs that you can utilize and expose this data anywhere you want to, and do integrations. Okay, Power App Studio again is a web portal where you log in to create or update or manage your applications that you've developed, and we'll see this in a while. Okay. So if you have any questions till now, I want this session to be interactive because I just want, because this is where you can ask as many questions you want to. If you have any question on these, please ask me. Or otherwise, we'll cover this in detail also. Yes, sir.
Yes, there is a question with Mr. Fussy. He's saying, what is the difference between Dataverse and a normal RDBMS?
Okay, so normal RDBMS, first of all, RDBMS, Dataverse is also built on top of RDMS, but the only basic difference that you'll find here is Dataverse is not only the database, it has many more features here. First thing, it's on cloud. It's a cloud offering where you can store your data. So database implementation is hidden from the developers or the users. So once you create an instance of Dataverse, what happens? It will have some default set of tables already created for you, and you can add more fields and tables there also. So whenever you create a table, it automatically creates the tables or fields or all the logic to read, basic operations, CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete operations automatically for you, like ORM, or if you know, object relation mapping system. So it's more than a database, uh, but yeah, backend is database. So it is based on an RDBMS, but it is not RDBMS. So it's a cloud store, you can say, where you can store your data. Whenever you store data there, you get some interesting features that you will get or forms that you can use to create or update or delete records on top of it. You will get the views where you can view the data as a list. You will get the relationships and everything, and the web APIs from where you can integrate also. So it has many more features. Okay. Any more question here? Okay, I'll just move on, and you can note it down if you have anything. We'll discuss later also. Okay. Okay, so before we get into the old technical details or something, one thing we need to understand what are the development scenarios which are available on the Power Platform, Modular apps, or specifically Dynamics 365 sales or customer engagement modules like customer service or marketing and so on. So first thing, very basic development scenarios are there. Like we want to create or update a field. Let's say we have a field called named. We want to increase its length, or we want to add a new field called customer segment or anything. Then we see the form where you can add or update the record. So you want to change the layout of the form, add new fields to the form, new section, and you want to change the full look and feel. So that is also a development scenario. Then you can also add new tables, create a new table or its relationship you can define. That's also one of the scenarios. Then there are business rules you can define, like you can show hide fields based on a condition, as we do on most of the web applications, right, or mobile apps. Then there's some backend processes, for example, sending notifications whenever or based on a trigger. Let's say as soon as a contact birthday arrives, you want to send him a happy birthday email. That's one, and it could be anything, any other logic also. Then call a custom logic on a specific trigger. Custom logic means you have a piece of code or a web service or custom web service that you want to call based on any update or a create or something. You can do that. Then if you want to plug in a custom code on a specific trigger, that is also possible. We'll discuss the difference between using a custom logic and plug in a custom code. Both are different. Okay, then provide limited access to external users. So let's say you have all of your data available inside your Dynamics 365 or Power Apps platform or Dataverse, and you want to expose some limited set of data for your partners. Let's say you or you for your customer. Let's say your customers can raise a complaint on the website. They can come, they can see their cases or incidents created or issues reported. They can get the status from there, they can do some tracking. But you don't want it to be a standalone system, so you can connect it through a web page to your system, that we call it a portal. So that is also one of the development scenarios. Then of course integrations are there. You can integrate this data, you can export this data to some other system, you can import it here, ingest some data, you can export it to some data lake or a data warehouse for analysis. This can be done through some tools, or you can, it can be any custom development also. So this is one of the development scenario also, and there are many more. I've just highlighted few just to understand or to clear like what kind of developments we can do here. But there could be many more scenarios. We can have custom controls and so on. So just to give you some glance. Sorry, I saw one question from Fase. Does this code resembles with MS SQL or .NET? Or can, okay, this is a very good question. I'll just come to this when we'll discuss the tools which are being used here. Okay, there are multiple things, Fase. I'll just cover it. Okay. Okay. Now, what kind of development levels we have? This is also interesting. Uh, okay, this is not a predefined, I would say, norms. This is most of the people's understanding, or the way I see this system can be extended. So I'll start with the customization. So customization could be the entity modeling. So I said entity means the table. So whatever tables are already there, you can change their modeling. You can add new fields. You can do create new relationships, new tables, and so on. Then you can do form changes and layout changes. Then you can add business rules. There are process management that I discussed to send alerts, notifications, or do automatic updates, or do automatic record creation, so on. So these are considered as customizations. But there are some extended development scenarios also where we can create custom controls, which are totally custom development based on HTML, or there is something called PowerApps component framework where you can define React and Node.js based controls, which are reusable control. Let's say if you do not like the text field control inside Dynamics 365, you can create your own control for that. You can add some more interesting features to that particular control, and this control can be reused on any text field. You can also distribute it to any marketplace if you want to sell it, or just provide it as a community contribution. Then you can also plug in custom code. When I say code, first, the thing is here, this is Microsoft platform. So most of the code is done in C#.NET. and then some of the code is done in JavaScript. Then HTML is involved, and React and Node.js is also involved if you're working on PCF controls, if you want to make controls based on Power Apps component framework. Okay, so that is again I consider as extended development because you can start with the customization, and then you can once you have your skills polished, then you can move to the next level, which is extended development, where you will write more code and you will create more reusable logics and controls. So that's a different. Then completely portal development, you want to create a separate portal which connects to the Dynamics 365 using APIs or SDK. That is again, I consider it as a extended development. But there are other ways, like PowerApps also has a portal, which is again low code or no code solution. I that is I'm not considering in the standard development, because that is done mostly in the that's mostly configuration. So that's not totally development. Okay, then in the next level, or it could be on the same level, which is integration. You can import or export data programmatically. I mean, you can sync data with ERP systems or your other line of business applications. Then the last level, which I consider, is ISV solution. So ISV means independent solution vendor, if I'm correct. Yes. So these are the ISVs or companies who build products on top of Dynamics 365 or Power Apps platform. Okay. So what they will do, for example, I'll give you one example. For example, there is uh, a software solutions company or IT services company who think there is a potential in the property management, and we want to implement some features which can be reusable or which can be sellable to multiple clients or multiple businesses. So I can create a ISV product on top of that. Then I can list that product on the marketplace. The difference is the product itself will be consistent of the above mentioned, components, like you will adding tables, business rules, maybe plugins, some processes, some custom controls. But the thing is, when you create an ISV, it has some more standards that you should follow. So yes, because this could be a just plug and play products, anybody can buy it or get subscription for you, or if you want to give it a free, they can just install it and use it like a plug and play product after some configuration. So that's why whenever there's a plug and play and more configuration, there are some standards you need to follow. Okay. So one more thing interesting here, which is skills required. Okay. So first of all, I'll discuss what you can do without having any code knowledge or without writing any line of code. That is entity modeling and schema. You can create as many as tables, fields, relationships you want to without knowledge of any code. This is just done from a portal. It's like a drag and drop, and using some wizards. That's it. Then forms and views can also be customized. The layouts can be changed. You can add business rules, what to show, what to hide, where if you want to set a value, there is no need to write code. You can define business rules. Then you can use Power Process Management and Power Automate, from where you can do some logics. You can trigger based logic. For example, I give you one example. When contact's birthday arrive, you want to send an email, or you want to calculate, uh, uh, some logic, some values based on some data. You can do that using Power Automate. There is no code required. Power Automate just requires you to get used to some of the Excel, like I would say, formulas where you can use, for example, to add values, to subtract values, to get the average, to retrieve some records. So these are just based. This is not purely programming. These are just Excel like formulas that you need to know. Okay, then Power Apps portal itself, which is offering from Microsoft, that is also mostly configuration. So there is no code required there. So you can see a lot of things you can do without knowledge of development, or even if you have knowledge of development, the effort is very less. So, and it, I mean, whenever you create an application, the first thing starts with the database, right? So entity modeling is already covered here. So you don't need to write any code, because once you write a custom application, what happens? You need to create database, then tables, you need to take care of the views and everything. And so PowerApps platform will do it for you automatically. You don't have to do any logic to retrieve, update, delete these records. And other standards, database standards are also automatically applied. Then forms and views. If you're working on a custom application, what happens? You need to know HTML, then some server side scripting or programming language which will talk to the database or APIs to get this data. And you will also require a middle layer which will talk to the database mostly. If you talk about the three-tier application, what you have the database, you have the data or middle layer which will, or business logic where you will get the data, and then the UI or user interface. So all of this is done for you by the platform. You don't have to write any single line of code, and that is where the most of the development goes. So it saves you that effort. So no coding required there. Okay, bad news for developers, maybe, but not truly. Okay, Fasis, so I see your question. I think you're right. Okay, okay. That was old one. Okay, so okay. Next thing you do on the forms or any pages on the web application, what happens? You need to add some logics to hide show fields, sections, show some alerts to users, so on. Again, that is done mostly using jQuery or any front end scripting, which is also covered here using business rule. No scripting required for most cases. There are cases where most of the cases are covered. Okay, then process management. Again, if you want to send emails, notifications, or update another system based on a trigger or call an API, that has to be done again using some custom backend coding, which could be C sharp, it could be in some cases Node.js, it could be Java and so on. But here again, you can use Power Automate, which already has a lot of connectors, and you can just drag and drop and do some configuration, and it will do all the stuff for you. Then if you want to create another application for your partners or customer, you have to create a separate application or separate interface on. But here also you have Power Apps portal. So again, the purpose or to just to motivate you, there are a lot of things that you can do without any code or very less code. Okay, then next I'll come to the low code. Okay, again, till now we are not going to C sharp.net, by the way. So limited development experience, if you have, what you can do, if you just know a basics of JavaScript or jQuery, or you know the HTML, you can extend the business rules using JavaScript. There are some things that you can't do with the business rule that will cover in the business rules session. Uh, that you have to do through JavaScript. So if you know the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, that's a plus. You can do that. Then if you want to add some HTML to the forms to do some, and you can want to create some control based on HTML, jQuery, or JavaScript, you can do that. That will also enhance the user experience and allow you to create some controls if you want to. I'm not talking about the PCF control here, just HTML or jQuery based or JavaScript based controls. So this is also covered. Now, for extensive development experience, or if you're a core developer, you can write in C Sharp.NET code, and based on .NET framework, it's just a class library that you can hook in any of the system operation, like before or after a system operation works. For example, as soon as a contact updates, or before updates, or after updates, or before create, or after delete, or before delete, so on, you can hook in your custom code also. And that can, once you are in the C Sharp.NET code, you can utilize all the .NET framework based features, so you can do a lot there. So you can do that also if you have experience, or if you want to learn, good. But for that, you at least should know, should have some experience on the .NET and C Sharp.NET, and understand how you create class libraries and custom code activities, or workflow activities. Okay, then if you want to do some advanced customization on the Power Apps portal, where you want to add more uh, logics, or business logic, or if you want to define templates based on Liquid, this is a UI framework and so on, languages. So you need to know advanced customization. We'll cover this again later. This is for advanced level. And then PCF control development, again I'll show you what are the PCF controls, by the way. So these controls, if you want to develop, you should know React, Node.js at least, so JavaScript, then you can work on this. Okay, the custom integrations, of course, if you're working on any custom integration using any of the Python or let's say even C Sharp.net, VB.net, so on. So that requires you to have some development experience. And again, if you want to totally create your custom portal based on Node.js, React, or ASP.NET, of course, for that also you need some experience of the development. Okay, so I have one question I'll cover this here. Configuration and customization. So customization means that you are going to modify some or of the components of the system. Let's say adding a column to the table. That's a change in a component, right? Top table is a component. Updating something on the field. Adding a business rule. So these are considered as customization. Adding a new page, new form, new view, new tables. Uh, so on. These are known as, or adding new processes, these are known as customization or development. Then the configuration means which are just those you update some of the settings and the system behavior changes. So that is considered as configuration. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so what are the development tools and SDKs that we have here? Okay, so one is PowerApps platform here, and then we have Dynamics 365 SDK, which is a set of libraries and tools you can use. This is mostly used for extended development, not no code or low code. For no code and low code development, you don't need Dynamics 365 SDK. Okay, so this also has some DLLs that you need to use when you're writing custom codes. Okay. Then JavaScript is there, C Sharp.net for writing plugins or custom code activities, HTML, CSS, Node.js or React is required if you're writing a PCF control, understanding of web APIs. Otherwise, if you don't have any of this, if you just have some knowledge how a web application works, then you don't need to write any code and you could do a lot in the system without doing any code. Okay. Okay, before I go here to the architecture, I planned this demo session on the end, but I think let's cover some things here before we move to the architecture. I will just grab my other screen here. Okay, so I'm not sure if any one of you tried creating a trial. As soon as you create a trial, Microsoft will give you something like this, which is an environment on the Power Apps you see, Admin Center. So we'll cover the environment, but just to give you an example, environments could be different like dev. Uh, this could be different instances, dev, staging, or production, so on, or it could be depending on regions also. But that's another scenario. So each environment will have its own database and set of solutions or customizations there, which will not be replicated to other environment automatically. So if, let's say I have one development environment, I do all the development here, and then I move it to the production as we do usually in any software lifecycle management, right? Okay, so this is called the admin portal where you can set anything or most of the settings you can configure here uh, uh, related to this particular instance. This is a URL of this instance which can be edited for production. If I click on the edit, you will see I can update the URL, I can update the refresh, and there are many more settings which we'll discuss later. I'm just giving you overview for now. So we just need to understand there are environments that have some configuration and settings that we can do. Okay, then this one is known as PowerApps Studio, which I discussed, which is known as make.powerapps.com. So this one, if you see, gives you three ways to make an application that we discussed: Canvas app from blank, model driven app from blank, or portal from blank. Okay, then it has some templates you can use and just connect your own data, and it will already have some forms and views and all the logic for you developed, so you can use it. But these are all mostly Canvas apps. Our focus is model driven apps because our Dynamics 365 platform is built on top of model driven apps. Okay, another way to start application is from any data source, but again these are meant for Canvas apps, so our focus is this one. Okay, on the left hand side you see we have one thing called data. These are, once you click on the tables, these are all the tables available here. Okay, I need to change to Dynamics 365 environment, because by default there is one default environment which does not have any database. So I'll click here. Now if I go to the tables, you should see all the tables of Dynamics 365 or Dataverse are already here. If I click on a table, it will have the relationships, business rules, views, forms, dashboards, charts, keys. These are your SQL Server indexes or keys, unique keys actually, and then commands. And you can also view data here just as a preview here. You can do that. So you can add, columns here. You can update any column here. You can update their settings, their length, so on. So again, just to give you an overview, you can do this without any code. We'll cover these all in detail. We'll do all the scenarios in upcoming session. You can create the form, for example, right now, based on the account fields. You see it, the account forms look like this once it loads up. Just bear with me. Mm, it's a trial environment, so it takes time. So this is the layout of the default form. You can, if you want, you can drag and drop new fields from here. Fields are shown here. I mean new columns, and you can update the layout. You can move this above if you don't like this here, so on. You can do that. That's not a problem, and it will automatically impact the our front end application here. Like if you see, this matches with this particular thing, right? So I can, if I want to, I can move it here, and I can simply say save. We'll cover this. I'm just showing you the impact of this platform. So once I save and publish, it should automatically uh, show here, because we are on the same instance. It's a dev instance. Okay. So publish, cause without publish, by the way, just to, we'll cover all the publish mechanism, but without publish, any development will not show up on our front end or on our application. We call it application. This is also one thing. This is known as application. This is known as the Power Apps Studio where, or Power Apps Maker, where we design things. So if I refresh now, this should go above, I guess. Okay, no, I think there's no, it's still publishing. Fine. Okay, we'll cover this. That's okay. Okay, so this is the Power Apps platform where we design things. We'll see all of these in details. There are many more features here. If I go back, we have data flows to do integrations. We have flows for using Power Automate. There are some chatbots, AI features also, but we are not covering this. Then one of the most important features we'll cover is solutions. So solutions are the way how you package your customization or development to move from one system to another, or to distribute your development, right? So we'll cover this. Don't get into this for now. We'll just leave it. So yeah, in short, we'll cover all of this, and this, a lot can be done without writing a single line of code. Okay, I'll just go back here. Yeah. Okay, so now let me go back to the presentation, and we'll resume the overview just in a bit. Okay, cool. Second, guys, transition this to here. Okay, so we covered what is required here. Okay. Okay, now we need to understand a little bit of architecture. Okay, I know this looks a lot more confusing here, and don't worry about it. But you see, our document Dynamics 365 is here. Okay, it has sales, customer service, field service, finance operations, retail, so on, many modules. But your sales, customer service, field service is based on common data service or the Dataverse and Power Platform. Uh, so this is actually full stack of business applications, the Microsoft ecosystem of business applications. There are a lot of things you can do. You can connect with Azure Service. You can use LinkedIn, boards, so on. Office 365. There are many things, but our target here is just on the Power Platform. Okay. Now the important thing is on the cloud, as I said, the implementation is hidden from you. So you don't know what's happening on the back end. When I said what's happening on the back, you don't know is Microsoft will give you an instance that we saw on the Power Apps admin platform. You will have some access to the instance. You can do customizations, you can see view your data, but all of the backend, how the data, where the database is installed, where is the backend, where is the web server, all of that is hidden from us. We don't need to worry about that because it's a managed instance or it is a cloud-based instance, so we don't have access to the actual servers where the system is installed or configured, and we don't need that because Microsoft will take care of that. It will automatically expand it based on the system requirement or the load, or it will also manage scale the performance on the back end. So we don't need to worry about that. That's for the cloud. Okay. I have added one more slide. It's the same thing just to focus how it works. Most we'll be dealing with the common data service, which is now known as Dataverse, which has connectors to connect any other system or Dynamics 365. Then we will be focusing on the Power Apps, flows, all of these things. Okay. Now I wanted to show you also on the on-premise. On-premise, which means you install the Dynamics 365 platform on your own servers. This is not a cloud hosting. Microsoft is not giving you. Microsoft will just give you the media to install the server. For that, we just need to understand it's a three-tier ASP.NET based application. It has a backend, which is SQL Server database. It has a middle layer, which is known as backend, or not backend, actually backend services, or there are multiple services like asynchronous services. We have real-time services to, and there are many other components and Windows services that run to support your farm of Dynamics 365. And then you have the front-end servers, which is IaaS, Internet Information Server, where you host the ASP.NET based application. It's just a web application, right? So for that, we know what's the architecture, but for the cloud version, Microsoft, I don't know, but maybe they have more things which automatically scale because it's cloud based. So but for on the on premise, we have mainly the database, uh, IaaS where your web servers are there, and then some Windows services which stores the which supports all of the operations. Okay. This can be multiple servers, like you can have multiple database servers for performance. You can have multiple synchronous or asynchronous business logic servers, and then you can have multiple front ends, and you can do load balancing and so on. Okay, why I'm telling you this? Because as a developer, you should know basics at least for the architecture, so you know what you're doing. For example, if you're working on an on-premise environment and you have written a process which runs in background and you think it's not working, so you need to know that okay, maybe the asynchronous service is down, and maybe there's some it stopped or something. So similarly, if you have written a real-time logic, that will be done through another service, not the asynchronous service. But again, uh, if you're working with cloud, you do not need to worry about any of these things. Okay. Okay, so yeah, one thing I wanted to cover for reporting, you can Dynamics 365 have built-in dashboards and charts feature. You can also connect Power BI, and you can also use SQL Server reporting services there. We'll cover this in some reporting session. Okay, now let's go back into the system and we'll cover some of the advanced settings. I just want to see here. Hasib has something. Okay, so if we need to do any customization in D365 environment, we can do it through the Power Apps without the hassle of code. Yes, Uzair. Most of the things, yes, but you can't get rid of developers. Sorry, there will be some scenarios where you need them, but most of the things, yes. So that's where Microsoft, enables the end users or power users at least to do some of the customization. If I'll give you one example, see here. I'm on the account form. If I open particular record and I have a hassle of using this, I don't need this website field or some other field, right? I just want to remove it. Basically what happens in a conventional system, you need to request, even for the small change, you need to request the developers. They will do some development, they will package it, they will deploy it. There could be a downtime or impact and so on. But what Microsoft does is, for your business users, they can just go here, open up the form, and remove this field if they want to. They can add more fields. So they want to empower the business users, so dependency is less on the development team, and they, based on the dynamics of the businesses, they can be very responsive. So that's the purpose here. Yes, so you can do many things without writing any code. Yes, that's true. Okay. Now, one thing I want to cover here is once you're logged in here on Dynamics 365 applications, you click on this gear icon and you click on the advanced settings, it will open up this window. Okay, just I will cover this later, but again, this is a new UI which Microsoft introduced a while back. We call it Unified Client Interface, or UCI. It's just, previously the forms or look and feel was something like this you see here, right? But now it's React based. It's more responsive, more advanced and modern. The UI is changed. So some of the features you will still find, especially with the development, customization, and configuration, you will find in the legacy client. We call it the legacy client, the other window I showed you, which you can access from here, advanced settings. You can also go it from here with the environment settings, but let us go here. Okay. Okay, settings will have multiple sections. So first one is the business. All of your business configuration, like your opening hours, service hours, things like that, you can do from here. Service management options, product catalog. We also have a product like catalog feature in the new app, which is same, because Microsoft is slowly moving from legacy to the new interface. So whatever is available, we can use the new interface. Otherwise, I got one pin this somehow. Sorry guys. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So whatever is not available, you need to use the classic interface. Okay. So I'll just give you a basic overview, because as a developer, you should know some of the things here. Otherwise, you will be lost. So you don't need to memorize it. You will get used to whenever you need them. You will find it out somewhere. So don't worry. So business management, as I said, your fiscal year settings, your goal metrics, your resources, your services configuration, and the currency, so on. I won't cover it here. Sales territories, all business related things are here. Okay. Then you have templates. These templates are email templates, Word templates. We saw on the code, if you attended the session, we can generate codes based on templates to send it to customer. These kind of templates, and if you want to send automatic emails or define or predefined, template or text, you can do that. For example, if I go here, click on email templates, if it will have out of the box or existing templates that you can see here. System is acting a bit slow, but I guess you got some idea that you can define some templates. Again, this is called as business management because there is no development going on here. Okay, then there are some other features related to service management, which Adnan actually, by the way, already shown in the earlier sessions. Then there are some mobile offline settings, sync errors. We'll skip this one. Okay, I'll cover the customization later. Then we have some system settings, the main administration panel, where you can set the system global system settings here. This is interesting one, where you have a lot of settings related to overall system, sales, service, marketing, and so on. The trial instance is a bit slow. Sorry for that. Okay. And good, I have two windows. I can work on this. Okay. Why it's taking time? Okay. Meanwhile, we'll look into one of the email templates just to give you a glimpse. I think any record opening is taking time. No, this one is okay. So you see, this is a predefined template. What is the subject? And there will be body also, which will replace these values based on the data, and it will automatically, replace the data on these tags, and you can send it. So these kind of things you do in the business management, and then The administration settings, yeah. So system settings. We I guess showed some of the settings in some of the sales session here. So you can control some global features from here, which will be applicable to all users. This is again for Ozair, because you asked. This is for some a way of configuration. For example, if I come here and I see that. One second, I'm looking for the sales settings here. Sorry. You see, in the sales session, we covered that pricing can be based on your predefined prices. I mean, the calculation can be based on predefined calculation, but you can turn this setting on off here also. So if you say no, it will not use this feature and so on. So there are many other features here that we can do. So again, no code required, but this is more related to functional consultants or which are going to implement the sales features and so on. But again, as a developer, I guess you should have a basic knowledge of here. Like you can enable the how you can enable the Power BI, how you can work on goals and define formats so on, but some basics. So what you can do is you can go through these and you will get some understanding. But if you will request, we can cover each of the settings also, but this requires some time. Okay, and that's not in scope of this particular series. Okay, this one is interesting. Auto number, we might use it. So some of the records in the system already have auto numbering. For example, once you create a case, it will have a number called CS hyphen some random 4 digit or 3 digit number, then hyphen auto increment number. So you can update those auto numbering settings here. And this can again be useful for as a developer. You, if someone requests you to change the prefix, instead of cs they want to call it, let's say, issue or something, is or something, so they can do that. You can do that here, but again this is for limited entities. But now in Power Apps we have custom auto numbering there also. We'll cover this in the once we see the fields. Okay, so these are known as administration settings. There are more features, but I will skip and I'll go to the main thing we want to discuss, which is customizations. So this is the legacy way of getting into the customization of the system. So previously, when we were not on the Power Apps platform, by the way, this particular environment was not on Power Apps before. This is recent adoption of Power Apps. Okay, so you see, I have to customize this system here. So this opens up a page which will give you all the entities or tables you have, and you can add more or you can define new attributes. You can add attributes. If you see, I also have accounts here, right? If I click on the forms, it should show me all the forms available here. These are 13 forms. Now the same thing is also doable from uh, the Power Apps Studio that I show you. If I click on the tables, I will see, and if I click on the account and form, the same forms I will see there. Okay, now why we have two ways to do this? Because I said Microsoft did not remove the legacy customization section as of now, but eventually they are gonna move to this new interface, this Power App Studio interface, and all of the features will be available here. But there are some features which are still available only on the legacy app, so that's why they are not doing it. So you see, this is the same thing. You can, if I click open the account here, it will open up a little bit different, which is the legacy interface. So if anyone of you is used to this interface, whoever is working from like last 3-4 years, they must know this. They must have seen this layout. But if you have not already, please try to get used to the new interface, because this is gonna get replaced with the new one. You see, it has the same features. You can move, we moved this from position of these two fields, right? The same is shown here, but eventually you are going to use this new one, which is more, there are some benefits to the new interface. You can search, you can, this has some more advanced configurations also. So I'm just giving you area that yes, you should also view that for legacy app, you have to go here. Okay. Then we have publishers. These are the publishers of the modifications or development they do in the system, because we work in multiple if you work in a multi-vendor environment, there could be possible there are multiple vendors working for you, so you can identify who provided what kind of customizations. So this will help you understand. Secondly, if you're creating solutions for your customers and you want to create it as products, you can add yourself as a publisher. Again, this will be covered once we see all the solution stuff. Solutions I told you is packaging of components or all the development you do. If you're familiar with the View Studio, or if you've done any .NET development, we create projects there. So you could say similar thing, not same, but some similar features are there. You can select what tables you want or what tables you created, then you can add fields, so on, and you can package it, export, and then import in a production or staging environment, so on. This is called solutions, but again there are multiple type of solutions. There are ways to use the solutions, and that will cover. Okay, if I go back here, one more thing that you won't find here as far as I know, which is important, is the settings customization. One thing is known as developer resources. So what you will get some useful links here. If you click on this link, it will allow you to download the SDK. Again, this is required for more advanced scenarios, not for your regular scenario. So you don't need to worry about it. Okay. Then if you are working directly from View Studio, you can download NuGet packages, which will have all the necessary DLLs or libraries that you want to use in your custom code projects. Again, extended or advanced level, no worries. Uh, then some useful forum and sample code link. This is very good. You should, if you are working on the code level, you should see the GitHub repository, which has a lot of things to work on. Okay, now the more interesting thing I want to show here is particularly is two kind of organization, two kind of APIs. The one is known as organization service, which is a SOAP service, SOAP service. Okay, you if you're working on the integrations, you will be mostly using APIs, and for that you can use the SOAP endpoint, which is the old one. You can see it was from 2011, but schema was defined then. That's okay, and it is based on the WSDL. But now mostly we use the web API, which is actually a OData endpoint, which is available here. So if you want to get the URL for your integrations or Postman or something, you will get it from here. You can download the OData metadata also here for for your reference and further. There is an other kind of services also, like discovery service, which is to get more configurational and metadata information. So this one is all about data, all of the data. This one is more about your components. So if let's say if you want to programmatically find the list of fields available in a table, you can use a discovery service. But if you just want to get data or all the list of accounts who are based on city Lahore, you can use the this API or this API. That's one example. If you want to create records, you can use these APIs. So data related operations or system related operations will be done through these APIs, and this is where you find these URIs. But again, we'll cover once we cover the integration and development. So these two sections I wanted to show you. But in our course, what we'll do is we'll start with the new interface, and we will see what can be done, what cannot be done on the new interface only. That something we'll cover in the legacy interface. So yeah, so this is again just to revise. I told you what are the what is the role of Power App Studio here. So for development, I will really strongly recommend you to create, if you really want to go, because I will take up a scenario and we can do this together, or at least you can try after the session. So create your development instance, go to these URLs and make.powerapps.com, select your environment and start working on that. So you can also practice. So let me go back to the presentation. And so yeah, so I just wanted to show you these settings for today's session. Okay, so for take home for today, so we learned what can we extend. Again, just to recap, we can add fields, we can add tables, we can modify tables, we can add relationships, we can update forms, we can add new forms, we can add business rules to show height fields. Then we can do integrations, we can create portals, we can do custom controls and so on. That is what we can do. Then tools required, we need no coding for entity modeling or creating forms or implementing most of the business logics and processes, and most of the even integrations you can do using Power Apps or Power Automate without any code. But if you want to extend more, you have to know the C#.NET depending what you are doing. Then you need to know the Node.js or JavaScript if you're working on the PCF controls, which reminds me that PCF controls are shown here. Just one second. PCF gallery. These are reusable controls that I just told you will show you. For example, if I select text, so these are the free tools available. For example, you see there is a text field already available, right, in the system. This is the text field. If I open any record quickly, slates. So a normal text field looks like this, but if people have done some very interesting stuff using PCF framework, Power Apps component framework, you can, let's say, convert field to analytics, or you can create a map control based on data and so on. You can convert it to auto populate. So all of these controls you will find here. These are reusable controls you can install in the Dynamics 365. Similarly, if you want to build these, you should know React and Node.js or similar frameworks. So you need to know that. Okay, so I'll go back to the presentation. Okay. Okay, so yeah, and for you need to know JavaScript, HTML for extended cases. And one very important thing for reporting, I said the dashboards are available out of the box. You no code required, charts you can create. Power BI no code required, but you should know at least basics of SQL queries. You should at least know that. Okay, and yes, then this link is very good link. I love this link. Actually, I use it a lot. Microsoft Learning Resource for getting started in model driven apps. So this is very useful. We'll share it in as part of the presentation. So you once you click on it, you will get all the small courses that you can do. It is just 1 hour 14 minutes. You can, if you have a trial instance created, you can follow this and practice all of this. So this is very easy and it will give you a very good idea about it. So follow these things and try if you want to learn. Okay, so that was all for today. And before this, yeah, I will, Adnan, I guess, will launch, or I will launch. That's okay. Just 1 second.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for
Yeah.
being late.
Adnan, please launch the poll, and meanwhile I'll check the
Yes.
questions because there must be
Yeah,
questions.
exactly.
Okay,
So,
now who has the questions? Anyone? Anyone dare to ask?
yeah.
Okay, so
No, it should be.
I because Adnan, before you joined, I launched a poll just to check how many experienced people we have. So most of them have some development experience. So
Yeah,
which
it's
is
good
good.
to hear about it. And it's good the people who have the experience. And if they don't have the experience, they don't need to worry about, as we are
Yeah.
going to start this session with the basic, then it will go to intermediate level and then the advanced
Yeah,
level. So no need to
and
worry
I've
about, and
covered
there
them
will be
like
no much code, or you can say
most of the
comprehensive development is
things
required.
you can do without any code, which is the exciting part. Yes, again, if you think this is just very easy peasy thing, I agree this is easy peasy, but there are some things you will learn through experience that what should be done. So even for example, if you want to create a field, what type of the field should be, that comes from the experience. If you already have enough experience on enterprise applications, that's okay, but otherwise you will learn. So I guess everyone should be excited because next session will be definitely hands-on. We'll get into the just move the slide. Upcoming sessions. The next one is the solutions. We'll start with the solutions and we'll start what components we can add. I mean, components means the table, fields, and forms, views, everything. And then how we do modeling and schema, database modeling or schema, you could say. What are the tables, what are the fields, type of fields and forms and views, and we'll take up a scenario and we'll do one. I mean, hands-on on this one. This won't be. This is not a theory, because that's why I took the poll. Most of you already have development experience, so I don't have to go through each of the things. So that's good. So that will be more interesting. Yeah, and the next session will be on the web resources and business rules and extending using JavaScript that we discussed, and how we can use an existing PCF control. We are not going to create a PCF control yet, because that is way more advanced that I explained. Okay, now if you have any questions, otherwise I think we almost concluded. Actually, we did it in 60 minutes. Wow. We started at 8:05.
That's great.
So if you have any questions or any suggestions, just open up your mic and discuss. Otherwise, we can
I have
conclude.
one suggestion, or you can say it's just like a open question, that if anyone wants to see how the environment can be set it up through the live event, so you can give us your feedback. So what we can do, we can plan something during this weekend, so that at least everyone should have the trial instance, or you can say the development environment, and from where the people can start using it. So to accommodate this situation, means, let's say, how to configure the trial instance and what are the ways to do it. If you need the, you can say, special session, then we can arrange it during the weekend. So if it sounds okay, otherwise you can set up its own at your pace. But it's highly recommended, if you have your own environment, at least you can explore the features, at least you can start working on it. So that's the only advantage that you will get.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good one. And okay, guys, if you have anything, please say. Because one thing is for sure, at least if you have no any, I mean, existing experience on these things, don't worry, because I'm pretty sure if you tend like, even if you do like 2 to 3 sessions more, you will be able to at least do some basic customization. That is without no code. So definitely you'll get used to it. And this is very strong framework in terms of you'll get a lot of projects on it. So this is good for jobs. Because this is uh, one of the most selling features of Microsoft after Office, right? Our Office and Windows. Power Apps is really being adopted around the globe, and even I mean, a lot of big giants are using it. Okay, great,
Perfect.
guys.
Perfect. So
Okay,
I
guys,
think we
good
can
night. I
conclude.
won't take any more of your time. And next session again will be hands-on, so get ready. It would be great if you create your own instance. Otherwise, just follow me and you'll get used to it. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank
Enjoy.
you. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Wahaj.